So I think this next one is a good one for Jeremy to talk about. So it goes directly with a lot of Cyderis's core competencies.
And so really what this boils down to, when you're talking about small businesses, when you're talking about that mid-size market, everybody who owns a small business is eventually looking to grow, right? And one of the things that Brian had opened the conversation about was that it really does start fundamentally with that psychological mind frame, right? You're talking about the understanding that it is not a matter of if, but when you will come up across some type of security issue in preservation of data, who has access to the data. Oftentimes, as you're growing a business, it's to meet customer demand. Customer demand comes with certain obligations in maintaining privacy, security, the efficiency of your systems. Technology then becomes a leverage for your organization to expedite that satisfaction for the customer, right? They can access their data quicker. They have more options in terms of getting your services, right? Maybe they can order something online. There's curbside pickup. And we're talking about restaurants specifically, but even more so, the retail space, the ability to access your inventory, to contact the customer, or the company, and get feedback directly. All of these things leverage technology to expedite that process. Certainly payment systems becoming critical, how you retain that data, et cetera. But perhaps more than any time since the dawn of the digital era, when we were talking about critical infrastructure, high availability, proactive surveillance of that data, that is really critical to the future of any organization, any business that is growing. You may be all in on the why of digital transformation and even building your small business on that foundation of everything's digitally based. We're tracking everything through a portal. Customers have access to us via the internet, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe they can buy your services and goods via the internet. But when we talk about real security, compliance, privacy, and control, it's about the how. And oftentimes it seems like an impossible barrier. How do you get over this barrier? How do I secure my infrastructure? It starts with acknowledging where data rests, who is trusted with privileged access into the network, and how you track that. It's policy, right? So if there are crown jewels, and we go back to that image of the moat and the castle and the exterior walls and layers of defenses and the central pillar, where we're storing the crown jewels at the top, that's the focus. Is it the data that's important? Is it the transaction that's important? Is it access to the people with the keys from a digital perspective that's important to the attacker? And then building your policies out in a way that reevaluate that governance and strategy. So if you are subject to certain regulatory compliance, for example, you're in the financial industry, you have to deal with FINRA or SEC, or maybe you've got PCI DSS concerns regarding your small business, then understanding the critical infrastructure that houses that regulatory compliance becomes that central pillar. And everything that you build around that in terms of access and trusted or privileged access into that environment follows suit. The how, again, may involve a partner, right? You may hire someone internally. You may do all of that yourself, but certainly seek out a consultant, somebody who can open conversations with you regarding best practices. And there is a wealth of information out there. Certainly Brian can probably point you that direction.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. And sure. I'm not going to specifically recommend any individual business, but businesses like Cyderis, and there's many others out there as well. If you think about in your business, your bookkeeping, some of you probably use an outside accountant, and you maybe use an outside marketing agency because you don't have the resources to pay somebody internally to be full-time marketing. The exact same thing is true with cybersecurity. You can find third-party experts that do this day in and day out and outsource that function to them if it's not your core competency in your organization, which, again, if you're a coffee shop or a small manufacturing business, it probably isn't.